A very good morning to you. Welcome to my thought for the day. I hope you'll notice an improvement in my breathing. You can monitor me over the days, but I am feeling a new woman this morning. I feel much, much better. And but I woke this morning with a phrase in my mind which I thought was biblical, but it's not. It's out of a Dinah Washington song. What a difference a day makes. And I was reflecting how my time in the hospital was under a day. I arrived at 6:30, and I was in the discharge lounge by 11 the next morning. Less than a day, and what a difference that day has made. But I can't find a Bible reference. It's in that song, I think. So we're back to Luke. Come with me to Luke chapter 21. Verses 1 to 4. Very simple little story here of something, not a story Jesus told, but something he observed as he was in the temple. And we know that he was in the temple a lot during those last days before his arrest. And it says in chapter 21 of Luke, he looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw a poor widow put in 2 copper coins. And he said, truly I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them. For they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, put in all the living that she had. It's a very simple thing. Jesus watching people coming and going in the temple. And I think they had large coffers, large chests with a bit like a money box, a piggy bank with a slit in the top, and you put your money in there, and periodically it was emptied out and used for the work of the temple. And he observed people, and he saw this poor widow. I don't know why people seem to think she was an older lady. It doesn't say she was older, but I suppose the fact that she was a widow meant that she'd been married. But it doesn't say how old she was. But we often picture her as a little old lady going up to the coffer and dropping in 2 coins. Jesus saw her do it. And he said something which is something we should think about. And that is that God's assessment of what is important and what is valuable is very different to ours. When we think about money and what is valuable, we don't think of 2 pennies, or even now we would perhaps even say only, well, I don't think we have a single penny anymore, do we? We've got 2 pennies or 5 pence. 2 5-pence pieces is nothing. Tiny little coins, aren't they? It's nothing. In the great scheme of things, what's that going to pay for in the maintenance of the temple? But God doesn't look at it like that. God sees how much that meant to that poor widow's economy. And it meant an enormous amount to her. She didn't have much, but she gave generously out of the little that she had. And again, it's saying God doesn't think like we do. God doesn't. Jesus told us, didn't he? If you give a cup of water to the least of these in my name, I think he would say to us, if you smile, if you just exchange a few words with somebody and you lift their spirits, it's more valuable than a sermon. Would we think like that? I don't know. But little things, the value of things is different. You know, rich people can give out of their richness, and they should do. It's not saying you shouldn't give if you've got a lot of money. It's not saying that at all. What it's saying is that the way God values things is different to the way that we value things. The whole of God's assessment of everything is not how we human beings would assess things. He's not like us. He doesn't look at someone who's never prayed all their life and suddenly is in a terrible situation and cries out to him. He doesn't look at them and say, well, you never bothered with me all your life. Why should I pay attention now just because you need something? He doesn't respond like that. He responds with love and compassion. He's not like us, and his thinking isn't like us. And I imagine that those, particularly perhaps Judas, who held the money bag and bought things and for the disciples as they went around the country, must have thought, well, I couldn't do much with 2 copper coins. I couldn't do much with those. But the motive in that widow's heart turned those 2 copper coins into riches. So don't belittle yourself or undervalue what you do by thinking, well, I can't contribute much. I'm only one person and I haven't got very much. I haven't got much in the way of abilities or talents but you offer to God what you have. Like this woman offered to God 2 little coins. You offer to God what you have. Just offer it, and He will do things with it that are beyond our understanding. He will value it. It will be precious to Him, just like this widow's gift was precious to God. Truly I tell you, this is what Jesus said, this poor widow has put in more than all of them. Now that's not monetary value. It's how God valued it. She had given more than the rest of them. Because she gave out of her poverty, she put in all the living that she had. She didn't have anything left. She'd come into the temple to worship, and she'd given. And I'm sure as she went out, the Lord multiplied back to her what she put into that coffer. That's my thought for the day. God bless you. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.